Hi and welcome to a new video. In this video I wanted to go through how to secure your router. So again, this is using for most people when they just install the router and basically just let it do its thing and use all the default settings. I know most of us that actually watch my channel and previous videos, they're more enthusiasts, so they'll look into the details and things like that. So this video is just going through on how to secure your router and to make sure you're getting the best out of all the features that's actually built in, because we know our routers do have a lot of protection inside there, and I know some people are a bit wary of the information that's collected at the same time, and then what some of the options mean and everything else. So this video is just going to go through the different AI protection and some of the username and password, and then also some of the other general settings that you probably want to best to update, change, and just to make sure a general good practice. Okay, so first thing we want to start off with is going actual to the built-in Asus AiProtection. So this is built into most of the Asus routers, but on this particular one I'm using is my GT-AX11000. So as you see here, you'll come, as soon as you click onto the AiProtection, you will see that you've got several tabs up here, and then also you will see that you'll have AiProtection, and this should be on, so there is no reason really you would want it off unless you've got some privacy concerns that we'll go into in a minute. So as you can see here, if we just do the first one, most importantly is that we want to have a look at the security assessment. So this is a scan. It will scan your current settings and see if there's anything that needs to be updated. So as you can see here, clearly I've got some danger, so that means I've got some kind of thing that I need to do to change. So that's the most important. So if I just click scan, you'll see it brings up this dialog window here with all the options. So as you can see here, we've got the actual in red, so that is what's causing the one danger, is that we have still got the either default username and password. So that means you haven't changed the default username or password to log into the actual router. This is not your Wi-Fi details, this is actually your login screen and then your username and password. So as you can see here, we've got actually no. So if you do hover over it, it does give you an explanation on each of these options here. So you can see green means it's good, and amber needs to have some, you need to actually have a look to see if you really do need these features on. And this is normally the default as it comes in when you're first using this router. So it's best to I haven't changed anything except for the strong wireless password, so I've changed it from the default. So this is the Wi-Fi password when you connect your devices to. I've made this extra strong using a password manager. So as you can see here, if we just go back to the no here, if we click on this one, this will actually open up the screen for you, and you can see, okay, this will take you to the option down here. So this will take you to the advanced settings, administration, and then take you to the system tab. Here's where you can update your login and password. Again, if you are going to update these, and you should update them, please write them down somewhere secure in either, or record them in your password manager, anything like that, LastPass or Bitwarden or anything like that you do have, because once you've changed this and you forget that, you will be locked out. So just be wary. I know, like me, if you keep changing your passwords and things like that, and then probably 5 minutes later I've forgotten it. So just be wary and make sure you record that before somewhere safe, and of course not somewhere that's easily overseen for your details. So again, so all we need to do is go to, I've already changed the login password. So why it's the danger is because I've still got the default login name. So here we just type in our password again that we've got for the actual router. So you can see here I've just used a password manager to generate this generic kind of password, so it's a bit more secure. Of course you can make it much longer and things like that. So now all we do is go to change the router login. So again, you can use anything like a username or a generator or random, more random the better, but of course you need to remember it. So for this instance, I'm just going to use admin 1. That's not ideal. You probably need to use something a bit more secure, but this is just to give you an idea. Once you've updated it, if you just click OK, it will say to you, you will be logged out, so just remember. So all we do is you just go to OK. Again, this is why I'm saying you need to make sure you've recorded this, because you're logged out straight away. And we just put this back in as your new username and then your password, and you can log back in. So if we go back to AI protection now, you'll see instead of having 1 red danger, we've just got the 5 risk. So we click again to scan. So now we can see that yes, we've changed this, so that's gone to green. The next 2 options that are default, that are amber, is WPS and UPnP. So that's basically these 2 services. There is no, unless you've really got a need for WPS, where you've got some older devices like printers, where it's easy just to connect the WPS button on the printer and then on the router, and it'll connect automatically. But these 2 actually do have some quite bad for security. So unless you really need it, and most of these WPS devices anyway, you can just type in your password. I know sometimes like printers it's very difficult because it's got a tiny little keyboard, but you only have to do it once, and once you've done that, then you're much more secure. So as we said, we just want to go to, as before, we can click straight on here, and it will take you straight to the option within the actual router. So as you can see here, it's got enabled, and this is enabled by default. So all you want to do is just click the off button, and you'll see that here it will give you your details and everything else for your router, because it's basically, it'll restart everything. It does have to, so it will disconnect you. So you just got to give it a minute, and then once it's restarted, it should be switched off. So again, we just go back, and you can see, look, we've gone down to 4 now. So you can see, yes, it's been disabled. Again, it is advised, in Asus themselves actually advise you to switch these off as well. So as you can see here, disable the UPnP services to prevent your router settings being altered by programs. So basically what this means is that if there's why this is on by default is sometimes like your game consoles or some other device wants to open a port automatically to the internet. So of course that's very user friendly and easy. So that device will just go to your router and say, oh, please open port 1000, and of course that will open it to the internet. But again, in a other instance around it is that a malicious program can go to the router, pretend to be a device, and then go in there and say, please open this port, and that opens you up to external attacks and things like that. So again, it's best to go in there and just click on that one where it says no, and then you'll take, again, as we said, it takes you to this, or the actual menu, so it's really good. So you don't have to go around looking for it and everything else. And then all we want to do, as we can see here, enable UPnP. We just click on no, and then all we have to do is just go down to apply and click apply. Again, this will just either restart, or as this is apply settings, so it won't restart all the time. So then we just go back to AI protection, and now we're down to 3. So you can see here we've got these 3 actual devices here. So actually these are the actual AI protection main features. So these are not switched on. So as you can see here, these are off by default. So the reason why is that this is not actual an Asus security feature. Asus have partnered with Trend Micro Security. So they're a third-party company that, of course, for them to identify malicious sites and devices and information like that, they do need to access your logs and information that you're going through your router. So of course, Some people are a bit wary of that because at the end of the day, that's your data. You can see there is privacy policies obviously in place and data protection policies. So normally if you do enable this, it may give you a warning to say that your information and terms and conditions kind of thing is actually comes up. So I think if we just go down to administration, you'll see privacy here. If we go to this tab here, you can see here, this is where you got the information about disclosure. So this is where for your privacy you can withdraw it and it will switch off the function. So it does say here please note that your information will be collected by Trend Micro through the above functions. So if you do switch on AI protection, the traffic analyzer, apps analyzer and adaptive QoS or even game booster or web history, this is where Trend Micro will have access to some of this information is collected. And it says if you would like to disable sharing your information with Trend Micro through the following functions, please click withdraw. So if you have enabled this and you've changed your mind, you can click on withdraw and it will disable these functions here. So they do have a privacy policy and also a collection disclosure as well, that once you click on it will take you to their website on here, where it will give you the actual policy and everything else. At the end of the day, they do need access for certain information to actually help you analyze this, so that does make sense. But again, this is disclosing your private network information to a third party, and it's up to you if you actually trust them with your information or you don't. So you do have the option later on, if you do switch this on and you do want to switch it off, again, all you have to do is go to administration, privacy and withdraw, and that will switch off all these features here, and then your information will no longer be collected by Trend Micro. Again, I do say go through their privacy policy and here, and again, it's how much you trust this company and everything else. So if we just go back to AI protection, so say if we do we're happy for them to collect any information, then you can go along to each one of these and switch them on. So what we do is we just click on each one of these to switch it on. So you will see that it will activate each of these on the top here, these tabs. Again, for the normal generic home user, it is probably, if you do have these on, just be wary that this doesn't replace antivirus software that's actually installed on your Mac or PC or your device, anything like that. It is best to still have, even when you have these switched on, these only can protect you so much, but having antivirus actually installed is much better. So you can see now, if we do another scan, you can see everything is green because we've switched everything on and we're all secure as much as we can be. So we do have another one down here under AI protection called alert preference. So there's a feature called alert preference. So as we can come here, so this was a network protection. We'll send you an alert email if there any suspicious connection between your client and devices. So if any of these things trigger on the AI protection you've switched on, there's only limited providers here. So you do only have Google, AOL, QQ, and 163 that I've never heard of. QQ I believe is just for Taiwan and China, and then for some Asian countries, and then also you've got AOL and Google. So again, you put your details in here and then you click apply. So if anything does get triggered, you'll get an email alert. So that's quite good as a feature. Again, just be wary you're putting your email and password in. So if you ever do get anything, any security issues do come up later on, that you do have your password in here, and this is why you always best to use a password manager so your password is secure. But also with Google and with AOL, you do have the option to generate app specific passwords. So that's a password specifically for getting clients like this to log into this service to email you. So that means that if they do find the password, it's not your same password as you log into your Google account with. So that's always something to look out for and create, is the app specific password within these two services. And I'm not too sure about the QQ and 163 if they actually offer that service. So again, as I said, that's quite good to have that alert there, and we've got everything safe and switched on here. Next, we'll just move on to on some of the other devices, things that you need to make sure that you've got on. So if we go to Firewall next, you'll see here normally by default we don't have denial of service protection. Again, this does enabling this, as it says there's feature can protect your router from denial of service attack, but it would increase your router's workload. So if the router does have this and you do get attacked, it will use the CPU up more, but it will give you more protection. So, and I've never noticed any slowdown or anything like that, even when I've done a simulated attack on the router and things like that with pen testing applications, with hitting it kind of with a lot of traffic. So I always like to enable that to make sure, and then also make sure the IP version 6 firewall is switched on as well. So having these on, so it just gives you that extra bit of security, and then also make sure that you've always got the firewall on as well, because that's going to protect your network. And once you've updated them, again you click apply and it'll apply those settings there as well. So next, if we go down to administration, so we go to system. So as we said here, we saw this before. Again, just making sure that your router's login name and the password is up to date, and you've changed it to something much more secure. Also, make sure if this is not on, make sure you clicked yes. So this is kind of the little catcher. So basically, you've probably seen this multiple times on other websites. So if you enter your password multiple times wrong into the router, you will then notice that on here a little dialog will come up underneath before you can log in, asking you to type in what the little image says. So if we keep scrolling down on here, so again we do have, sometimes this might be enabled by default for your network monitoring. So this is basically going to keep contacting certain websites. And again, there's privacy issues. I think people have, I saw another video around this, believing that this contacts some other countries kind of thing. Again, you can have this switched on, but you don't have to have it at this default here. So you can change it to www.google.com and then put their IP address in there as well. So this basically just keeps the connection active and make sure the router's checking for everything as well. Next, we go down to on here is Telenet, so that's a SSH kind of command to connect to the router. Again, if you're not really an advanced user, there is no need to have this switched on, so always make sure that you've got this switched to no, so you've got that there. Next, we want to be making sure also that we've got authentication method, so we do have the option of having both. So this is where you can connect via HTTP, so non-encrypted or the other. Again, I would like to keep this as only secure, so I know that I can connect securely to this. And you again, just make a note, so once you do update this will change the login page. So before you might have just been able to type in, like I've do 192.168.50.1, and it will just connect to the router. So now you'll notice you'll need to type in this address here. So this address does have some more different details. So if I just paste it in here, you'll be able to see now the address I need to type in will be HTTPS. So we've got the extra S there, and then also at the end of the IP address for the router, you now have the port number. So you can see here we've got now 8443, so we need to put a colon here and then the port number. Again, if you want to make it more secure, you can add another port on there, and again that just makes your connection to the router so no one can intercept when you're typing your password in or anything like that. So it makes your whole home network more secure. But again, when you do this, just make sure that you remember that the address does change and make a note of this actual address that you've got here. or you won't, or you'll have issues trying to log in. And again, if you've got the app as well, making sure that you select HTTPS or a custom port as well, that you have that option there, or you will have issues logging in. Next, making sure on here, so again, this may be a bit of a strange one. So by default, this is off. But if you've installed the router or your router by the app, then this will be enabled by default. So you'll say yes. And so basically here, this will mean it's opening up your routers, this web interface, the actual settings and everything else to the internet. Again, some people worry about this being unsecure, but lately Asus have upped their game a lot and made this much more secure. So again, as we were saying, they only, as you can see here, only HTTPS is supported when accessing the UI from the WAN. So basically, only the secure encrypted option is allowed when you're accessing from the internet. So you can't get any more secure, really, to be honest. And I think using the app and everything, the way they've implemented it, is secure enough for most home users. And then it makes life easy if you do want to access your router and you're away, you need to restart it or change some settings and you're away, and you need to do that remotely. So that does come in handy. But again, just be wary. This option here, so when you have this switched on as yes, you may get an alert. So even though you have to have that option on when you have the app installed, you may, when you come down your list here, you may see that you'll have, let's have a look. So you would normally have one of these options here. So web access for WAN disabled. We've currently got yes, but that will be a no, so that will be an amber. So you will have one amber there, but that is because you have to have that open to have the app running, so you can access your router from the actual internet side. So again, just be aware of that. If you do have an amber there and you have got the app, there's no need to go in here and switch it off. But if you want to be ultra secure, then of course, then you do switch that off and use a VPN to VPN back into the router using the VPN option here, like with Instant Guard. And then you can, once you've connected back to your home network, you can just type in the normal 192.168.50 or use your app to connect to the router. So it depends on which two features that you want to do, but most home users will probably have under AI protection, they will have that option there where it says web access from WAN disabled, and that will be no. So just be aware of that. Okay, so that's most of the actual options as we go through. Again, we do have some system logs where you can start going through the log to identify port forwarding in your connections and seeing any other details that are going through. And also, if you do have any of these features like the traffic analyzer connected, it's always a good idea where we've got devices and apps. So again, here you can then go through and then have a look to see. So sometimes it might be a good idea, like with your bandwidth and then the traffic monitor. But normally with the this device here, you've got devices, and you'll be able to go to all clients, and then if you've got a list of different clients coming down here, you can select on one of them. And what I noticed is that it looked like a smart plug was actually transferring a lot of information to another server outside of the UK, and I was a bit wary of that. So it did seem like it was infected of some kind. So it gives you a good idea as well if you see a smart plug or a power strip, in my case, where it was uploading gigabytes, where it seemed to be a bit strange. I stopped using that straight away because it was a cheap made, it wasn't a branded product, so I was a bit worried that that could be uploading my private information, because it actually is connected to my Wi-Fi, so it could be monitoring. So you can use this as well to actually identify devices that seem to be a bit strange, when you expect your actual devices like your tablets, your phones and your streaming devices to upload a lot of information. But when you see a smart plug doing that, it just gives you a reason for concern. And perhaps if you just unplug it and then perhaps just keep it unplugged so you know, just for extra security. Okay, so that's just most of the main features and to keep you secure on your router. Again, on any of these, if you do need to go into greater details, as we said, there's a system log and you can start going through that just to make sure that there's nothing of concern to go through. Okay, so thanks for watching, and as usual, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments and I'll try and get back to you as soon as possible. Thanks for watching again, and have a great day.